Hello, listener. This is Marty V, and I have exciting news. Romance Writers Therapy is now sponsored by Plotter.com. That's Plottr.com. And as you remember from our conversation with Troy Lambert, Plotter is a storyboarding software that makes moving around the pieces of your story in a really color-coded, lovely way, but also very intuitive to use the software. So if you haven't checked out Plotter.com, go do that. Thank you, Plotter, for sponsoring our adorable little podcast, and we're happy to bring you on board.
All right, you recording?
I'm recording.
All right, I am too.
Ooh.
What do we say when we open the podcast?
Hello, and welcome to Romance Writers Therapy.
All right, thank you. I wouldn't have been able to do that. Sometimes it just falls out of, I don't know what it is about needing to be, to say it, that it just makes it, literally make me forget everything that I've ever known.
Well, and when I said it, I was like, shouldn't there be more like the podcast where we talk about feelings and writing?
Yeah.
Shouldn't there be more?
We used to do that.
We used to, but really, it's hello, and that's it. I'm Marty V.
I'm Kate Pryor.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Yeah?
That's us.
Yeah.
So, listener, we're feeling a little bit frazzled because we're in more of a time crunch than we're used to. And I took forever eating dinner with the fam. And so, that's kind of where we're at. But, Kate, do you want to give a quick writing update or just, launch right into life?
I can do a quick writing update.
How's it going?
We're so rushed. We are running for the exit. I'm sorry. It's just the way that we're oh my God, we're making good time.
Checkbox, checkbox, checkbox. Do you know that's how my brain works?
Yeah.
It's surprising I meander in any way possible.
I know.
Ever. Oh.
My God.
My poor
I
brain.
wish I had your, earlier when you were what should we do the podcast about? I was I don't know. And then you were let's do one where we ask each other questions about the things we think the other is the best at or whatever.
That was just an example, but essentially having a deep dive conversation about our own personal styles and how it's perceived by the other person was my thought.
Okay. So
does that make more sense?
Having a moment God, one of those, I'm standing here, I know you're good at a lot of things, I'm suddenly unable to name any of them, and no.
Really funny story. I was having it in the reverse, where I was I know I could talk to Kate about the things I really appreciate her writing and stuff like that, but I was what could she possibly say about me? Right?
No!
It was real dark.
Here, you just remind, my brain is constantly floating in this void with intangibles. So I'm constantly forgetting things, just everything. But there's one that I really admire about you is that you have such a sense of a work ethic that is consistent. Oh my God, that's such a hard thing to do, and I don't it sounds like a weird little small thing, but not everyone is good at that, and a lot of people are really bad at it, like me.
Well, personally, if I'm not consistent in my work ethic, then it won't get done.
Yeah, but
right?
I don't know. It's just something I admire that you have that inner willpower to make yourself do that. Because I've tried so many times to be the person who sits down and writes every day. You know?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I see that, but I also know if I don't sit down and write every day, it's my brain is maxed out at if I write 12 to 1,500 words a day, then my brain is maxed. I've got nothing else, right? So even if it's been 7 days in between, that's all I've got. And so, that's it. That's all that's there anymore. And it's I have just wrung out everything there, right? So I need to do every single day in order to make any progress. Because sitting down, but if I were to sit down and expect myself to write, I expect myself to write like 5,800 words a week for a little while here, right?
Okay.
And if I sat down in one day and expected that, like, it's not there. The words aren't there. I would just end up writing in a direction with the story that I don't feel good about just to achieve the words. So, like, consistency is key for me.
See, I have to, like, sit down and, like, not write for, like, a month sometimes. And it kills me when I do that because I feel like I'm getting nothing done. But then,
that
like,
would kill me.
I'll sit down and drop 6,000 words in a day and then be like,
yeah,
boom.
See, that's lovely. I love that. I don't know. I just think that all of our brains work differently.
Yeah,
and
no,
so,
of course,
like,
of course.
Yeah. So, like, if I've just realized, like, consistency is key for me. Like, I just really need to sit down 5 to 7 days a week to get some words down. So, because some days I only have 30 minutes to write. And so I'm only going to get like 300 words. And that's it. Like, I have to accumulate over a number of days in order to keep the story moving. And if I let it sit for too long, then I've lost all interest in the story. It's just gone. I don't care about it anymore. Yeah. Well, anyway, but you were making a point about the episode idea that we did not go with.
Oh no, you asked that. I think I made the point that you have such a consistency, and that is one of the things I admire about you. And you know, it's a thing I think people don't really think about because it's not one of the glamorous sounding ones, but like it's the get shit done one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So how is writing going?
Writing, oh my god. You will just keep with that question every week.
Consistent. You give me a system, I follow. I follow system. You give me system, I follow system.
God, do you know that lady on TikTok who's like, this is inefficient. How can I make it more efficient? And it's like an ADHD, like,
I have not seen this.
Thing. Oh my god, I haven't seen her in like a while, but you made me remember because she was like, it was always like, what can I buy off of Amazon that will like fix the thing? Hilarious. No, I don't want to buy the thing. I will continue living in misery. Like
that is hilarious. I mean, you just described like my household. like for one thing, Andrew is incredible at like identifying an issue and coming up with a solution, right? Mm-hmm. So like I tend to be I consider myself highly adaptable. But like really like I just don't realize it's broke. I just adapt. I adapt so hard to every scenario all of the time that I don't realize I could fix the problem, right?
This chair used to have a back. No, it's now a stool. That's the way
exactly.
It lives.
That is my life. Why would we replace chair that's now stool? Why would we do that? It's still
we have
stool.
A perfectly functioning stool.
But yeah, Andrew's really good at like all of a sudden a problem I didn't know existed is fixed because he's just really good at like resolving like restorative issues in his brain. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I get you.
But a lot of things do come down to like, I don't want to spend the money. So we just continue living like this. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I get you. We just broke, I don't know if you know, those like toilet seats that have like the slow close hinge so they don't slam down. And
yeah.
So that mechanism inside like the hinge broke and now it just slams and like whenever you like, and it's killing me because I got so used to not slamming it. And I'm like, the rest of the seat isn't broken, but do I want to replace it now?
That is one thing I'd have to fix. Like, and like, I'm just thinking in terms of like having kids in the house.
Yeah.
And like, it's 3:00 in the morning, you're going to the bathroom and you just put the lid down.
Everyone up.
And everybody is now up. Yeah. I don't want that in my life.
Yeah. No, my sister used to stay up. She probably still does, but this is like why we started doing these because she would just like slam it in the middle of the night, and we would like all like wake up and be like, you cannot keep doing this to us.
It was funny when we were looking at building our house, we did like the like pricing out, and Andrew and I are incredibly cheap about everything, right? So like I'm like, I don't want that many light switches in a room. And like this is like an issue of mine. I hate having too many light switches in a room, because then it's like, okay, I flip this one down, I go to the other side, I flip all of those down, but now one of them is up. So which one of these 3 freaking light switches is the one that I have to flip? It drives me bonkers. Just like that. Oh my God, it drives me bonkers. Just have like one point.
Sometimes you have to go into a different room to turn
Oh my God. It completely defeats the point, right? Drives me insane. And so, like, we're just being incredibly cheap about everything, because that's who we are as humans. And then it got to the point where it was like the soft close toilets, and like my business partner who was like doing the price out, she was like, I mean, do you need soft close? Right? Totally expecting us to be like, no, we'll just close it ourselves. And Andrew was like, no, we need that. We need that in our lives. So
it's a weird little luxury that it's
like, it is.
You really notice when it's gone.
But like, there is nothing more startling than like porcelain hitting porcelain.
Especially when you're used to not doing that.
Yeah.
And like, it scares the bejesus out of you. Like,
because you're in a vulnerable state.
Yeah.
Okay. Writing for me has been non-existent. That's kind of like the long and short of it for me. Okay,
fantastic.
Listener, get in the sprint with us. We're on the treadmill. Let's go. Do you want to tell them what we're talking about?
Yes. Okay. We wanted to talk about budgeting for a release, and I think we can make this conversation kind of flexible in like, it's a very Build-A-Bear kind of style.
Yeah. I like that definition. Also, we were kind of talking a bit too specifically like a first release, like a first book release, right? Yeah.
I think there's... Yeah. Well, okay, so like just me personally also kind of like, I try to err towards cheap because like I know if I don't force myself to, then like, you know. You'll
go a bit more insane.
Well, just like, I don't ever want to end up in like credit card debt or anything.
Oh yeah, no.
You know, the idea of that just terrifies me.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, listener. I did not mean to like agree so hard with Kate. Everyone has different like comfort levels with credit card debt. I have personally been in it pretty aggressively and have to work really hard to get myself out of it. So yeah, I'm very standoffish about any sort of credit card debt as well. So
yeah, I get you. You know, like, it is a stress on your heart and your soul, and it just hangs over you.
Oh gosh, and then seeing how much you're paying in interest with those payments is just, I mean, it just is such a slow climb out sometimes. Yeah, anyway,
so we're very anti-debt on this podcast,
and not
obviously,
even,
if there's
not even
only,
anti-debt.
Out, then like I get it. You do what you got to do to.
I just like term limits.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, what really frustrates me is, like, for people who aren't wealthy, it's called debt. But for people who are wealthy, it's called leverage.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't think all the messaging of, like, don't enter debt is, like, healthy.
No,
I think that there's times where it's really helpful. But, you know, if you're looking for a way to produce a book, I would love to discuss ways to cut financial corners. Right?
No, I 100% get that.
Yeah.
I think it's always wiser to plan not to spend money, but maybe, like, obviously I can only conceive of so many circumstances. I can't imagine the full spectrum of, like, human needs and behaviors and like all that. Maybe someone could get into a circumstance where they have to spend a lot their last dime on a book. Or I don't know. I'm actually going to terminate this line of thought.
Yeah. Also, Kate and I are not financial advisors. I think it's important for us to note that. Oh my gosh, Kate, I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to like comment on this. But we went camping this week
Had so much fun. But I have all of the world's mosquito bites on my ankles and feet right now.
Oh my
And I'm
God.
trying so hard not to itch. But, like, holding still has made me greatly aware of them.
Ooh,
and I have to, like,
hot towels.
hot towels. That's a great plan.
Hot towels.
But, like, I have to, like, wash off the hydrocortisone cream that I've already put on so I can put on more.
Okay. Let
right?
that, like, sink in for now. Maybe that'll help. And if it doesn't, I love a steaming hot towel on a bug bite.
Yeah, that's
also,
a good plan.
like, I don't know if you've seen, I think it was on Shark Tank. It's called, like, the bug bite remover. The bug bite thingy. Maybe it's literally called thingy, I think.
Okay.
And you literally, it's like a little, like, not a syringe, but, like, the plunger part of a syringe, the mechanical part, no needle.
Okay.
And you can see it looks just kind of like an empty film canister kind of thing. God, that's so
okay.
You put that over the mosquito bite, you pump it a couple times. It does kind of like, you know, like, oh God, I don't know. It's a vacuum. You create a vacuum, you're kind of pulling the insect saliva away from the bite, I guess.
Huh.
I don't know how it works, but it is fantastic and absolutely works.
I will 100% look into that because this is like no way to live currently.
No,
I woke up the last couple nights scratching my feet and ankles, and I'm like, stop it!
My dad has this like joke that he loves to say every summer. Where he's like, "Oh, I married my wife because when I'm hanging out with her, the bugs always go bite her instead of me."
Okay,
Andrew like, that's so awful.
Andrew is not allergic to mosquito bites, so they will bite him, but he doesn't get like any sort of redness, bump, no itch.
Oh my God.
It is
Andrew.
The most insane thing I have ever seen, right?
Weird little superpower. He should share it with everybody.
He doesn't even know. You know what I mean? Like, he knows this is amazing, but he doesn't know.
Yeah, no. Because, like, I don't think unless you felt the torture.
Yeah, because, like, he saw my ankles. He's like, oh, God. I'm like, you don't even know how bad this is. He's like, I can see how red it is. Like, I can see that that's uncomfortable. I'm like, shut up about uncomfortable. Like, this is so much worse than uncomfortable. This is no way to live. I can't believe I'm able to talk right now.
God, like, I know. I've inherited my mother's genetics of bugs, please bite me.
Okay. But back to, and listener, I'm so sorry if you can hear me like scratching myself. I swear to God, I'm not dead. Okay. Big deep breath, calming deep breath. I can handle this. I'm an adult.
Yeah. Well, so I think you did have an interesting thought there, which I would like to tack a thought onto.
Okay.
Not only are we not financial advisors, I think a lot of people who label themselves financial advisors and have podcasts are oftentimes telling people the wrong things.
I agree.
There's a lot of irresponsibility in that sort of field of influencers, and it's really hard to find good advice, I feel like.
Yes. I think also, I'm going to caveat to this conversation too, where Kate and I are talking about how we budget release, but lots of people will pick different things. Right? So, so take our advice with a grain of salt. Hopefully you find something helpful here. I know personally when I was doing my first release, I would have killed for someone to be honest with me about how much it actually cost to put their books out. Because I was like, is this a normal amount? Is this a lot? Is this a little? What do I do?
And
right?
It's such a range because I feel like the answer could be literally zero. Literally zero.
Literally zero. Yes.
Or, it could, become this number, like
there
is
absolutely.
a huge range, and it all really comes down to what are you capable of doing for yourself? What are you willing to learn to do for yourself? And how much you just really need or want someone else to do it.
Yes.
Because there is need to have other people do some parts of the process, I think.
Yeah, I definitely need help. Okay, so first up, Kate, do you use any funds when you're actually writing the book?
Any funds when I'm writing the book? And you would define that as like the word, the
Yeah,
Word
like
document, not Word document, that's a brand. The text document that you're writing in, the software.
I suppose so, yeah. So, like, you could buy Atticus and write in that, and that's...
You could buy
that
Scrivener.
Yep. Which I have done.
You could
have
use
Scrivener.
Plotter.
You could use Plotter. Absolutely. So there are definitely softwares to purchase if you are in need of...
Or if you want, it's if you have just a bunch of money lying around and you want to spend money, like, I guess you do you, babe.
Yeah,
But
well, and like, if
personally,
you
I wouldn't
don't,
advise it.
you can Google Docs it, right?
Yeah, no, like, Google Docs is free, LibreOffice is free. There are free programs out there.
Yeah,
I know I am not gonna espouse Google Docs, even though I am pretty
Currently writing
entrenched
on
in.
it?
Yeah, like, it's easier for me, but there has been some talk about AI scraping and
Ooh, not cute.
Yeah,
I don't
not
love
cute.
that.
Fucking Google, man.
Fucking Google, man. Our fucking corporate overlords. Okay. So there are places that you can spend money there. I personally, Scrivener is a one-time fee that I paid, 7 years ago. And,
Yeah, and I
just
think
continue to enjoy it.
If you participate in NaNoWriMo and you do the 50,000 words,
You get a discount.
A discount from Scrivener.
Mm-hmm. Which is how I bought it.
And, like, I think I don't think they really check the 50,000 words, do they?
No. You just, like
I've heard
as
of
I
people
remember,
copying and pasting Wikipedia articles
Yeah.
to hit the 50,000 word count.
yes.
Which is insane, but because you're not profiting off of it, like,
yeah.
Yeah, just things I've heard.
I have also heard that. Personally, like, the discount at the time was like 20% off Scrivener, and Scrivener is already pretty cheap. So that was not a huge motivator, was getting that discount on Scrivener, as much as like actually finishing the book I was writing. That was the personal motivator with NaNoWriMo. Which is,
and I believe
okay, speaking of free options,
you have it for free for that month, right?
Oh, I didn't know that. They might now.
That was a promotion one of the years I did it, I believe.
Okay.
I don't know if it's consistently a thing.
But speaking of free options, if you're looking at like communities to join to write on and just get the book done to help you be motivated, NaNoWriMo has lots of different communities that are active not just during NaNoWriMo, like not just during the month of November. Yeah.
I believe during the summer there's a thing called Camp Nano, which people, is still a community event. It's not as big, but it's a lot of planning for NaNoWriMo. Well,
and a lot of local chapters will have events as well. So like it's a vast like community resource. One of my favorite free resources is our writing group, where we share what we're writing and give critiques.
Yeah.
Another resource is Scribophile. I'd have to double check that it's still like active, but it was something I used, 7 years ago to get critiques and to practice giving critiques as well. It's just an online community where you submit your work. In order to earn critiques on your work, you have to also be critiquing, right? So that was really cool, and that was a free resource. So in the writing,
as you were talking about, you said free communities at one point, and I went, but then I was like, oh wait, there are paid chapters of communities.
Absolutely.
Like
and then
RWA, where you do have to pay the membership fee to be a part of the author guild. I believe you have to pay to be a part of.
And then also like writing coaches, that can definitely be an expense and stuff like that too. So if you're just looking for free resources, there are lots of free resources out there.
Yeah, no, I think there's always going to be a free and a paid version.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what you can get out of it might come down to what you can make of it.
Absolutely. And like the thing is, I've never used a writing coach, but I definitely can see its value.
Oh,
right.
Personally, I can't, just like because
I
can't
don't see how it would work for me, but I can see how it would work for other people. Like some people are just accountability people. They need someone specific to hold themselves accountable to.
Listener might be the kind of person who needs that. And I'm not saying I don't need that, but personally, I cannot imagine myself spending money to...
I cannot foresee how I use that function, but I definitely see how it helps other people. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so we got to the writing portion. Now are we on to...
Going through this.
Are we... I told them to get on the treadmill. We're sprinting.
I fully believe you're on a treadmill right now.
You told me it has to be fast. You gave me you gave me an agenda. I told you.
No,
I will check off every box.
For 15 minutes.
Okay, only a couple minutes. I tried really hard not to talk about that, but a listener deserves to know what that weird AF noise is, and it's me scratching myself. Possibly. I hope you can't hear it.
Yeah, but ASMR. Okay.
No, ewy. No one wants that sound. Okay. So you got through the writing portion.
Yeah. Let me scroll up because I did list a few things that
you did.
I considered to be
expenses.
Well,
I was kind of running through.
Point, they were all things that I wouldn't have spent money on, but now I do.
Okay.
Or I've heard you talk about it.
You didn't do dev edits.
No.
I have only done dev, and by dev edits, I mean developmental edits. I have done...
there's different types of editing, but we're not going to go into that.
Oh, I don't know how we talk about this without going into the different types of editing.
Okay, maybe like a quick overview, because I can't...
Yeah, absolutely.
For the life of me.
To my mind, we have dev edits, we have line edits, we have copy edits, and then we have proofreading. Those are the four main to me.
Okay. So I'm going to be real. I don't really know the distinctions between line edits, copy edits, and proofreading.
Oh, really? Okay.
Not off the top of my head. I would have to look it up and be like, okay.
Well, line edits is actually going to be like a deep dive into the actual prose. Okay. Right? So making sure that you don't have repeat words, making sure that there's it would also include continuity to a point as well. Right?
Yeah.
And then that's like it's a line for line edit, right? Copy edits is going to be a deep dive into the grammar and that the words are set up in a way that are clear, right? So it's a very mechanical look at the writing. And then we have proofreading, which is a pass-through to make sure that everything's kind of perfect, right? Like I have had a proofreader that did find like a continuity issue, and while also like being incredibly clean on every single period, comma, like it is just making sure it is as clean as it possibly can be.
Yeah. I think you could add sensitivity reader to that kind of pile, because I feel like that is the kind of
100%
where it falls in the process.
To me, sensitivity would come in. I mean, it's kind of hard to know where you would come in with that.
I would think you would want to do it before maybe like proof line copy, because if you have to change a good amount of the story, you're going to be rewriting quite a bit. I would put it kind of like next, like on par with developmental editing.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so I think that that's a great lineup of costs. Like what I would see as like the actual creation of the book costs. Those are the things that I look at. Yeah. So personally, I have done developmental edits on all of my books. Well, by all, I mean Truth or Dare and Just Fake Married. I have Hazel and Elijah Find Out with developmental editor right now. And those came back to me, and they're light duty tweaking stuff, which is amazing. And so I personally have not produced like a big piece of work without doing that step. How do you avoid that step, Kate?
Well, I think because we have such a dedicated writing group that, you know, you and I are both a part of, we've got a couple other friends in there. And that for me has always been a really great place to tell people, hey, I have these concerns about this chapter that I've just written, and I need like you guys to give me your opinions on what you feel like comes from it. And I feel like you get a lot of the same advice you would get from someone who was looking to do a developmental edit. Does that make sense?
I agree. I agree with that. And that's why I have wanted to not have developmental edits, but at the same rate, because of our group only meeting weekly and not having the full book in front of them.
Yeah, I was going to say that is my kind of falls short, is at a lot of the time you do have to catch people up to speed again, be like, okay, I went back and I got rid of this, or here we are, you might remember we left off at this chapter. Yeah. And because you don't get the same people every week all the time.
Yeah, sometimes
it can become like, some people don't even know like anything about the story, and they're hearing the last chapters of it.
Yeah. So that's one of the reasons why I've always been like, I'm still going to do this dev edit, right? At this point, for the book, the sequel to the series, right? I actually have a manuscript evaluation set up.
Ooh,
which is, yes, it's very interesting. Which for this situation, it is, how do I describe this? It's a flat fee. So it's not based on word count. And for me personally, I don't need a lot of suggestions when a problem is pointed out to me, right? I have enough experience in writing story that I feel comfortable that if someone's like, hey, this is a problem with your story, I can figure out how to correct it within my story, right? So the evaluation may come with a little bit of suggestion of how to fix a problem, but for the most part, it is just like a write-up of like, hey, here are the issues I see within your book. And then take these notes as you would. So like, instead of doing the beta reading that I was describing before in other previous episodes, I'm doing this evaluation because it's just going to be a little bit more thorough information. But it's not going all the way into developmental edits where, you know, there's a conversation set up for you to talk with your editor about the corrections you're planning on making and like them assessing and like kind of like having a full chat. I tend to not feel like I need quite that much hand holding. But for some people it might be really helpful, and that might not be a step that you want to do without. Sometimes I think that we get so attached to the elements of our story that we need someone to like talk us through why that's not benefiting or how that could benefit more. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times that's what that chat can be.
Where you feel in confidence, like what your level of confidence about the story itself is, can like really fall like anywhere. And then if you feel like particularly unconfident in your story, is that a word?
Inconfident?
Yeah.
Unconfident?
No, I said unconfident.
Without confidence.
Okay, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Because I've definitely, like, I have a couple
Insecure.
manuscripts, you know, sitting on the shelf that I've, you know, not touched in a while that, you know, I think part of the querying process or getting other people to look at them brought down a lot of my confidence.
Yeah.
And because they were things that I wrote ages ago, I think.
Yeah.
But like, because I'm also so attached to them that it's like, I don't feel confident in my ability to assess what needs to be changed about the story, because I also have this very change as little as possible kind of attitude when it comes to having to fix something. Like, how can I,
which is so shocking to me, because I find one of the things that I admire the most about you is that, yes, you will take this this paragraph within this chapter and put it into another chapter. But like, I see you moving so many pieces of your story, like kind of like picking it up here, putting it down there. Like, I see so much moving that I don't see you as someone who isn't willing to change things. Does that make sense?
See, I think that's a perfect example of how unwilling to change things I am.
Mm-hmm.
I have a paragraph. I've written a paragraph. I don't want to lose it too. I don't want to like delete it. I'm going to shoehorn it in somewhere. It may be 20 chapters from now, but I will use it. And if I don't use it, I'm going to stick it in a file and I'm going to let it marinate for a while. And then I'm going to pop it out for the next book. Like, I don't throw shit away.
I don't throw anything away either, but that is really interesting. That, like, my perception of it was just so opposite of, like, your reality with it.
I mean,
Kate,
perception is reality.
And while Kate is trying not to change anything at all, I am like, do you want me to rewrite the whole thing?
Yes,
it's gonna take me a long time, but I'll do it.
Me, like, anxiety attacks when I'm like trying to suggest you make a change to your story. You're like, what if I deleted it? And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm telling you to do.
Well, I'll mind whatever I can.
You know?
But, like, sometimes you point things out and I'm like, oh, well, if I totally change the entire tone of this, then it would fit so differently. And I could pick and choose a couple paragraphs through, but, like, for the most part, like, a lot of these words are just going to go to the wayside. Right? But, yeah. Okay, so we were talking about dev edits. And you were saying how you avoid doing them. So you will also do, like, beta reads as well, right?
I do beta reads.
How do you get,
they've
like...
been really good.
I was going to say, because, like, sometimes I get a lot of really great feedback that can be very specific. But sometimes I feel like I don't get that much specific feedback. And I don't always, like, it... And, like, it can be a sliding scale from the same person to a different book. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
And, like, I know also as somebody who has beta read, like, sometimes I just have more focus in this read I'm doing to give, like, these very specific, like, notes. And sometimes I'm like, I just don't have the ability to focus that way. And I'm kind of going through it and giving an overall arcing note. Right?
Yeah. It's like,
but
if I can give you at least really one thought, it might not be the most profound or the one you need the most, but like, it's like the one thing that caught my attention I can still give you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I think I don't write as long a story as you do always. So for these things,
which is funny because my stories are still short. Like, my novels are still short.
Yeah, but I'm writing shorter somehow. And I think also it very much a meh, fuck it kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if this... I'm very much aware that this is winning no Pulitzer Prizes, you know?
Okay, but I have, like, very much the opposite, like, connection to it, right? Where, like, I have no meh, fuck it in the editing process. Like, I have now meh, fucked it through the entire drafting and, like, first first draft of it, right?
See, I am the opposite way. In the first draft, I'm like, I need this to be as consistent as possible throughout as possible. Every time I like decide I need to make a plot related change, I go back to the beginning and reread the whole thing, and I try to make sure everything aligns that way. And I know that's how people tell you not to do it. That's what I'm doing.
But like, that's how you need to do it. If I did it that way, I would not finish it. Right? I wouldn't finish it. Because like I would make a change, realize it wasn't right, go back, change the first half of the book, and then like keep on going, realize it wasn't right, change it all back. Like, it just wouldn't be an effective way for me to move through the story. But if I accept that, like, hey, to get through this chapter, I need to be kind of like wishy-washy on their motives from the chapter before, that's fine. I just need to get through this chapter. And then I'm able to continue on, so I can fuck it through that first draft. But now that I'm in the editing position, like, I am so much more meticulous. And like, I do not feel confident not doing the developmental edits on some degree, because I need someone else to tell me that they've read the whole thing and this is the way that they feel about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't have the confidence not to do that.
Every project I complete, I feel like I get a little bit better at looking at the entirety of it.
I agree.
You know, I feel like that was a skill I did not have at all even 6 years ago. Arbitrary number.
Yes.
Because like, I don't know, it would felt like I was not able to get that kind of bird's eye view of any distance.
I also didn't have the same objectivity.
Yeah. That's a big thing. I think also the answer I'm kind of dancing away from is I'm not putting in that much effort. Like when I say meh, fuck it, I'm like, if I allow myself to be obsessive in any, not even obsessive, just like more meticulous, I think my anxiety will kick in, and I will have to, it would destroy my work process, I believe, you know, if I, because like, I have worked on projects before that I put my everything into, and I poured over every detail, and I don't think I ended up better for them. And the projects that are making me happiest are the ones that I just kind of throw things at the wall and I go, that's good enough.
Okay.
And obviously, like, I'm trying, like, I want to avoid, you know, anything that's offensive, so I try to, like, take that into consideration when I'm writing it. You know, I think, and even, like, after the fact, what's her name? Shoshana Rain?
Okay.
Her name real quick.
I don't know.
I'm friends with her on Facebook. Okay, yeah, Shoshana Rain. She has a really great series on Instagram where she posts about different forms of anti-Semitism that have kind of permeated our storytelling, and
that's
the way
very interesting.
Yeah, and she just, you know, she's got a lot of good things. And at one point, I think early on when I met her, and like, you know, online, became friends, is she pointed out that there was a word I used in the Lich book that had a sort of weird kind of anti-Semitic connotation.
Wow, that's
and
really
so
interesting.
It was like, and this was after the book was published, and I was like, I had never even realized that. And so I was like, you know, I'm just going to go change it out.
Absolutely.
And I think I talked to her a little about that, and
that's incredibly interesting. I will definitely have to, like, find her. You are friends with her on Facebook?
Facebook, Instagram.
Okay.
She's a lot of places.
Okay. I'll have to find her because that sounds really interesting and informative.
Yeah, no, she's got a lot.
So, like, what you're saying is
thoughts.
your meh fuck it doesn't, like, come into play when it comes to, like, other people's experiences in the world? Like, that's someplace that you're very particular about?
I try to, like, within, like, what I can see, but obviously,
yeah, we're white women and we only have so much vision, and
yeah,
so like
only so
trusting
much.
people,
Yeah,
like listening and trusting when people tell us like, hey, that's like that's not okay, and
yeah,
like actually receiving that information is really important.
yeah. No, I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things I think a lot of people are scared about. Oh God, I don't want to go into that right now. That's a whole other topic. That's such a big can of beans to unpack.
I think that's a really great segue into the conversation about sensitivity readers.
Well, consider that we have like maybe 10 minutes left and we need to
Okay.
get through everything else.
Okay. Well, I have done sensitivity read before with Just Fake Married. And it was fantastic. It was also something that changed my budget a bit in that book. And so I've had to be very conscious of that moving forward with the ethnicity of my characters, which is a shame, but I would rather, personally, I would rather make sure that I'm in a position to pay sensitivity readers to read my books. If I'm going to write non-white people, people of color. But if I'm like, I've had to consider how much that changes my budget in the future. And I mean, really also I do, again, from my perspective, I am a white woman. I should speak more to a white experience than I do to any other experience. Not only because that's what I know, but also out of respect.
Yeah.
Like,
no,
there's
definitely.
saving space for people of color to hold space in their public.
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
I say as I talk while you're talking.
Yeah, but I think that was a really good way to put it. Like,
yeah.
Like, one of the really pervasive things that we see is like, you know, a book about a person of color, and the top like book to read in the subject is written by particularly white women. Yeah. And, you know, I just think that that's something to be very conscious of. And so definitely pay sensitivity readers if you're writing outside of your experience.
Yeah, like where your blind spots are. And
absolutely. Yeah. And then also, I don't know, just listen to people, right? Like we're people, like people of color are talking, listen, right? So, go to TikTok and actually listen to what they say, even if it's something you don't want to hear. So even if it changes the way you're going to write what you're writing, listen. Is just my number one piece of advice. Okay. So that's all I'm going to say about sensitivity readers. Very valuable read. I very much appreciated it. So we're on to line edits.
No, I think we covered that, didn't we?
I mean, kind of. If you want to, I personally, that is an area that I just am going to rake through my book myself and do my own line edits. Like that's one place I feel comfortable cutting corners.
Yeah. Personally, I don't. I think. Well, so I'm like.
Oh, that's your spot.
I'm definitely dyslexic, and I straight up don't catch a lot of errors in my writing because my eyes just, you know, I just read things and they look right to me.
Well, I do copy edits, which is grammar and the actual readability of the sentence, right?
See, I have a pretty good grasp of grammar, I feel like.
Okay, so that's an area that you like, because line edits is an area that I feel comfortable being like, I can find all the words that I repeat, and like I can look for the metaphors I repeat and like stuff like that. So
yeah, no, and the thing is, sometimes you can find an editor who offers both services, like, and or packages
combined
them together.
Yeah,
you know, like it's not always like you can choose what you're gonna budget. Like, it really does come down to the people you find, the networks you build. You know.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I think if we had put a little more prep into this episode, we would have been able to like come up with actual numbers on things.
Yeah, that's true. That is true, because I would have to look back into like what I actually spent on my books
Yeah. No, we should do an episode on that eventually, but
or even just like a write up, like a link, like a spreadsheet link or something. It's not a bad idea.
So one of the fees that I think people don't always realize is sometimes necessary is a layout person.
Like a formatter,
thank you.
Okay. See, because if you have an Apple, you can buy Vellum, which is a program
software.
that, yes. But you're able to format pretty easily for yourself, I hear. I have a PC, and Atticus just became available in 2022. And I have used that for everything I've done, and it has been amazing for formatting. I just upload the Word doc and pick like the style I want. You can customize style. You can add like all sorts of like cute details, stuff like that.
A free option is draft2digital.com.
Draft2Digital is a free option, yeah.
And honestly, I feel like they've made it intuitive enough that you don't need to pay someone else to do it. But if you don't feel confident in your ability to do it, obviously,
Yeah.
But personally, I have not found it. Like, if you grew up using Word and all the similar programs, I think you should, like, if you know how to use
pretty good
PowerPoint
spots.
And stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be that hard to figure out.
And then like proofreading, just like a blanket statement, tends to be less expensive than the other rounds of editing. And yeah, so that is a step I don't skip either. I don't trust myself to catch everything.
No, it's hard. Sometimes even your proofreader won't catch everything.
I mean, I saw this really cute meme, like tweet sort of thing that was like, applause to the comma that made it through 8 rounds of edits. Like, you made it through, even though you're wrong. You really stuck through. Like,
no, you definitely, like, when you find like a spelling mistake and it's like, wow, you made it to the end. You deserve to live.
You deserve to live. Well, and like that's the other thing is like, I personally haven't had somebody. I've gotten enough of my corrections like through ARC readers. Wow, that's another expense you could do is like paid ARC readers. But I have had all of my ARC readers like find things in the like after proofreads, right?
Yeah, like I've never asked my ARC readers to do proofreading, but like a lot of the time
they'll let you know. Yeah.
People are just kind and they volunteer. Yeah. Hey, there's an error on these pages.
Yeah.
And that's so sweet of them.
I know. I have never had to correct anything in the book after publication at this point. So, like through all of those all of those rounds of edits, but I also have a fear of doing something wrong. Right?
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, absolutely. So like you're like, it's not going to earn a Pulitzer. I'm like, yeah, but I can't do it wrong. So like that really affects how much I'm willing to spend, in the sense that like I will probably, like, I know I spend more on my publishing a book than you do, because I can't turn that off. Right?
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I think kind of the further I go into this, being like just more books and more serious things that I want to write, like not serious, but like bigger projects that end up a little closer to my heart.
Okay.
I will probably go back down that path of perfectionism.
Yeah, I get that. I personally have never paid for ARC readers, but I have met a sliding scale of people that are happy with it and people that are not happy with it. Like that they actually got people to ARC read through these paid services. I've heard multiple responses about that. And then you mentioned that you also have to, well, you don't have to. A lot of times, the place that you publish the book on will provide you with what they consider their ISBN number.
Yeah. So like if you publish on Amazon, they assign you an Amazon ISBN, I believe.
Yes.
But you can't you can't take that number and then publish on Ingram Sparks with it. You know, you need to get a whole new number.
Well, and then also, but something else to keep in mind is that, like, if you publish on Amazon using their, I think it's called an AISBN. Yeah. If you publish on there and then later buy an ISBN number, all of the ratings and all of the reviews that are connected to that AISBN number will be lost by inserting an ISBN number.
Oh my god.
Right? Well, because it changes the product. It changes the product number. Yeah, right?
I guess. I feel like Amazon should have a workaround, and it's something that they're holding on to keep people using their service.
Yes.
Because when you publish on Amazon, that does make it pretty difficult to use other platforms in some ways.
Well, if you publish in Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah. If you publish it in Kindle Unlimited, then it has to stay there for ebooks. Or not has to stay there, but like you can't
exclusive
go wide.
Yes. So, if you are... So if you're using their AISBN number, that's something to consider, is buying an ISBN number if you're in the United States. Yeah. But I hear that if you're not in the United States, it's just free.
For freaking real?
That's what I hear. Look, like, it might just be internet rumors.
In Australia and be like, hey, can you snag me some of those?
Well, the worst part is like they're associated to your name. So that person in Australia would have to like be like a publisher willing to publish your book, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. These are the rumors I hear. I don't know for sure. Maybe they're just heavily discounted, but I do hear that like in the United States it's a worse situation. Anyway, as far as like spending money. Now gathered in the United States, we tend to have more distribution to everything all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I'm not saying it's a 1-to-1 win. I'm just like trying to play devil's advocate.
No, I get you. Like, it's not the worst thing ever. There are upsides to it. Just
but man,
you might not notice
freaking ISBN numbers can be steep, especially when it's your first time you're publishing. And then like, okay, so for every format, you need a new ISBN number, right? So, so like the ISBN number you have for your ebook is different than the ISBN number you have for your print book, right? Tell me I haven't been doing this.
I didn't know that, but like...
I really think that's true.
I haven't gone wide, so you may know more on this than I.
Yeah, but you have physical copies.
Yeah. God, I don't read the ISBN numbers for fun. I'm sorry, I just don't.
Okay, now I'm concerned I'm giving bad advice, though. This is how I have understood it.
Listener, do your fact-checking. Do your homework.
Yeah, we not only are not financial advisors, we are not publishers, okay? We publish for ourselves. So I personally have used a different ISBN number for every format. That is how I understand it, right? Okay. So if you're buying...
for your sake, that's how it works.
Oh, God, I hope so too. Otherwise, I'm just spending a lot of money to be able to publish in my different formats. So, like, if you're spending... Yeah, I think this is right because it has like the drop down on Bowker where you like assign the format, like ebook, hardcover, paperback. I think I'm right, but I could be wrong. But so I have like this one book that I've written, but I have 3 different formats for it. There goes 3 different ISBN numbers in my mind, the way I understand them. Good Lord, listener, if I'm wrong, please tell me because I've been using so many ISBN numbers. Listener, if you know the truth, tell me.
So I think we should probably wrap up soon.
Yeah, no, I agree. I
do want to touch on the last couple of things on
What are the last
list
couple
of
things?
things you could theoretically spend money on. This isn't a budget episode. This is just listing things you could have.
Yeah. I mean, but I do think it's helpful.
No, I do think it's helpful because sometimes people say, "Oh, well, of course you've done this," and it's like, "No, I've never done that. Thank you."
And
for
why would
me
I
know
do that?
That exists.
What even is the function of that? Yeah.
Or just things you might not have realized are kind of
that's
necessary.
what I mean. Yeah. Or like not even necessary, but like didn't even know it existed. Like didn't even
or that
know
it was done, you know?
Yeah. Or the difference between line edits and copy edits, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You could
Okay,
make
so what
your
are the
own
last couple
cover
things?
in Canva,
Right.
you know, or
mm-hmm.
you can get a free account on it, I believe, or you can get a pro account, which I believe when I signed up for it, it was something like $112 for a year.
That's what I remember as well.
Yeah. So Canva Pro, I consider it worth it because I use it quite a lot, you know, like not just because
I have to say, as someone who has the free option but has been given access to the paid option, the paid option is pretty great. Like
it is pretty sweet.
There's been so many times that like the free option, I'm like, well, I'd really love to use that, but it's one of the paid features. And so I'm just like not able to.
Well, I mean, so I believe you have my login. Which
I mean, by believe, you know I have your login. And by saying I have been given access. I just, exactly. I should write that shit down so I can stop asking you.
No, like, what was I going to say? Blah, blah, blah. Obviously, if
Canva.
you don't want to, if you don't feel confident in your ability to make a cover, I believe in our other episode
with DJ Russo,
DJ,
we talked about covers, and she gave a very affordable option.
She's gotten covers from, and that she's liked. However, obviously, you know, experiences may vary. Gotta do your homework.
Yeah.
Commissioning an artist to make you a cover sometimes can run you into $1,000 because I believe a lot of artists will charge $1,000 for a book cover.
I don't even know because you're the person that's always done this for me. I do know that like you can also look at pre-made covers.
You can, right? You can buy pre-made covers for a lot
and those
less.
Tend to be pretty affordable. Yes, so like you find a cover artist that you like for what you're doing,
and
they may have their website.
Art.
Yeah, they will a lot of times make some changes.
Yeah,
I've seen them go as cheap as like $75.
Yeah.
If they're like doing like a flash sale,
sounds normal. 200 sounds normal for a pre-made.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I have also heard of people, and like DJ Russo talked about this, where they bought a pre-made and then wrote the book inspired by that pre-made.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Which is, you know, if that's where your joy goes and like how the book happens, that's pretty cool. I think
that's awesome. Yeah, I don't have that. I don't tend to work in that. I have never been able to work in that direction. I've also never tried.
I've never tried, but because like obviously I do my own covers, so I'm like, you know, the idea of me paying someone else to make a cover to me feels unthinkable. It's like, what if I spend all these years learning how to do?
But like for you, that's exactly true, right? Like I can't imagine why you would pay someone else to do this thing that you are very capable of doing yourself, right?
There are art styles that I don't feel confident in doing.
Yeah,
that if I wanted to get that art style, I would pay someone else to do it. But like, I'm pretty happy with like usually I try at least to take a first whack at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
website cost
is one that I did not really think about. The first, like, I think it is so important to have a website, and you can.
And I think it's important for it to look professional.
It should look professional.
Yes.
You can pretty easily get a website. You can make a website yourself through Squarespace. Hosting the website is pretty much always, there's going to be a cost. I believe you can get a free blog on WordPress. But then
I believe
you don't
so
get
as
the
well.
domain name. You kind of, it has to be your author name .wordpress.com or whatever.
Okay. The way I remember it is I was able to do a free, now gathered, I started this again like 7 years ago. So I was able to get a free WordPress website, like blog, and then I paid to own the domain, which is $18. Yeah, it's $18 a year.
Really?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, I think prices have gone up for domain names.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mine hasn't.
For WordPress, I thought it was still like $100.
Really?
Somewhere around that. I think it was like
I only
110 or something.
I have the free, and like again, I feel like I'm grandfathered into so many things from like just starting when I did.
That is kind of like the old internet to today's internet, is that the longer you've had your account somewhere, you might still be on a very cheap version of it. But if you make it today, you have to pay the more expensive version.
Well, because like then there's also the possible expense of a newsletter, which there are free options, right? And like with MailerLite, I was grandfathered in for like a bunch of their features that are free that are no longer free anymore.
No, you go.
And so like even when I had to start paying, I still had these options that were already given to me via signing up before they made their big change. So I don't know how to speak to it now. Okay.
Well, I remember moving from Squarespace to WordPress. I have 2 websites, one for my art portfolio and one for my books so just so the worlds don't collide, I don't want them all together. But so I used to have just WordPress for my author website, and then I had a Squarespace for my art portfolio. But after I got a day job, I retired the Squarespace site and I moved to a WordPress site. But at that point, I was already paying for WordPress because I had upgraded to I don't think it was the business one, but it was like the one right up. It wasn't the personal level, I don't believe.
Okay.
I forget what level it is. But like to me it made enough sense to pay for
that shift.
The tier where they would like you could message the people who run the website or run WordPress, and you would get access to their help department in designing your website.
Okay.
Which is something I don't think I got with Squarespace for more money,
Okay. Wow. Okay. Well, I'm glad that it worked out.
No, I definitely, right now, I like WordPress's prices better and their service better, just in general. There's a lot more you can do, I feel like, with WordPress because it's a much older platform that has so many things built into it. If you look up WordPress plugins, there's a whole bunch of stuff you can do with it. But with Squarespace, I feel like it is a lot more intuitive and it's easier to learn what you're trying to do.
Okay.
I think a lot of people would have an easier time using Squarespace because it's built to be intuitive. That's its main selling point. But if you're willing to scream and cry for a couple months over the way that your website looks and the fact that you can't get WordPress to do anything you want, then
WordPress is the way to go.
WordPress. which I don't think
It's a
sounds
really
like
weird
great-
advertisement.
It isn't, but like that's the path I took. And then having done the screaming and crying about WordPress for one website, I was able to build my next website that much easier.
Well, what's really
You know?
interesting is how much more I understand how to use WordPress from watching you while you were doing my site. Like, I learned more about the things I could do with it just from watching you like do things with it.
The
Then
fun thing about you being in Michigan and me being in New Jersey is that you didn't get to hear the screaming about your website.
Really?
I think I made your website before I made mine, so I was like really confused on how to do a lot of things with WordPress. And then I made mine, and then I went back to your website, and I was like, all right, I actually understand how to do things now.
Okay. Well, because like I had a WordPress for years at that point. And then you went in and you started like messing around with things. And I'm like, oh, that's so much. Like, I just didn't even know. And then it looks so much better. And like stuff like that. Like it just made it more of a plug and play than I had ever used. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think a professional looking website is really beneficial, very key. It doesn't have to be super like flashy, but like clean. You know, like something intuitive where people can find your stuff.
I think.
Yeah.
For just, a simple website
Yeah.
is always
a
good, elegant solution.
Like if you're looking for like a color palette to like help you be clean, like black and white with one other color is like always like a beautiful look, right? Some interesting fonts, and then like you don't have to be like next level in order to accomplish something that looks clean.
Yeah, that's
right?
pretty much it.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head on how to like
Cool.
do a simple design.
Yeah.
You did mention that their newsletters is something you end up having to pay for
But
the
a lot of
longest
times
time.
the
is a
free
free
option
version.
can keep you going. I didn't start paying until this year on my newsletter.
I didn't start paying until last month.
Yeah.
Because I sent out the newsletter, and I can send it to so many people within
for
a
free.
24-hour period. And someone pointed out that the buy link that I put in, that I meant to put in the newsletter that I just sent, was not there at all. And so I was like, oh my god, I need to send a correction real quick. And then MailChimp was like, actually, that will exceed the amount of people you're allowed to send a free newsletter to. And I'm like, fine, I've done this for a year, I will.
That was essentially what happened to me when I upgraded as well. I had an influx of subscribers, and then that influx put me over. And so I like was having one of those newsletters where I wrote it that day and was sending it out, and it was like, hey, by the way, you have too many subscribers and now you can't send this out, so you have to buy it. So I bought it, and then like it didn't just send it right away. Oh yeah.
I think like by the time you have that many subscribers that
absolutely
you need to upgrade, it's worth committing money to your business practice.
Yeah, you have a decent enough foundation to like pay for this feature.
Yeah, no. So my thought with the first book that I did, very little, like, I think I spent zero money on it. Unless I include like the website. I think the website was like my one expense, and it was like, to me at the time, such a big expense that I was like, I don't even know that I really want to do this. And because at the same time, when you have one book, a website does not feel worth it.
Well, and then, I personally have done a lot of the things I have done based on the idea of like, this is me paying for future Amanda, right? Like this is me laying foundation to be in a better position and have the most ability I can to retain people as I possibly can now, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So like everything I have done is very much like future focused.
I will add in my last note for expenses is a Muso subscription, because they
I was
help
thinking
with
that,
pirating.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which I haven't done, and I keep on thinking like maybe I want to do that. One of the things I want to know about with you publishing Love Laugh Lich is that you were in a unique situation where people were volunteering their time
True.
to do some other things they would normally get paid for free.
Yes.
So
because of the collapse of VGP and a lot of people who had been promised to be in this sort of independently
Monster
published
anthology.
Thing, and then suddenly losing that, there was a great swell of community efforts I participated in. I made a lot of free covers for people who were going to be part of the anthology and now needed their own cover. I believe Allie, oh my god, what's her last name? Raspy?
Lasky. No, different Allie. Nope, you're right, different Allie. I cannot think of her last name right now, but she did editing.
Her last name. She did
editing.
I know. Oh, I will shout out her next episode when I can find it. Ugh.
I'm looking for it now.
Anyway, she did the editing for free on that because
Williams.
Allie Williams. Yes, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really sweet of her. She edited a lot of people's stuff for free, and I go back to her for quite a few things at this point.
Yeah. So
although
Kate,
now it is in a paid experience for.
Yeah.
I don't just keep being like, you have to edit this for free. God,
thank you. Kate, is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think a lot of people get scammed into the idea that they need to spend a shit ton of money on their first book, whether they are self-published or traditional. We've been really talking about the like a lot of things that we've been talking about fall into self-publishing. But I think a lot of it is stuff that people who are looking to be traditionally published get, they feel that they need to, well, and as far as like website and newsletter, yes, obviously you want to do that for yourself. But I feel like a lot of people feel the need to get a bunch of developmental editing and proofreading and line reading because they feel like an edit will make their manuscript the best it possibly can be and, helpfully get them an agent. And I do think that we've kind of created a standard that isn't exactly true.
Yeah.
A lot of people, as I understand it, I could be 100% wrong, but as I understand from people talking about this, is that there are some... Wait, no, back up. Where was my brain going?
I don't know.
Just that, like, you, especially if you're going the traditionally published route, it's always very good to keep an eye out that not everyone who says that they can take your money and provide you with a better book or help you set up, especially at the beginning, is doing so in good faith, and not all of it is necessary.
Well, it's
Did that
really...
sound like a sentence?
I followed what you were saying.
Okay.
I think like your point is like there's lots of opportunities to spend money, but be mindful of
not
what
all
you're being
of it
promised.
Will actually get you value or bang for your buck, or some of it is vanity spending. Does that make sense? You're spending money to make yourself feel good about this work you've done.
Yeah,
and
that it is going to get the attention it needs.
Yeah, no, like getting an editor to look at it might feed your ego. And I think,
but at the same
really
rate,
hard.
like I do suggest editing your hiring an editor. Like that is something I do suggest.
About to publish, or if you want to publish a thing, it should be edited.
Well, I mean, at the same rate though, like we have a friend who
Yeah.
has not paid for editors. But like
True,
this friend is very capable of like has incredible like
And the thing
eye
is,
for
it's
detail.
hard to judge whether or not
Yes.
you are good enough at doing the proofreading and the developmental, and
Mhm.
you know, like it's things that
I
you
weigh
really
on
have
this-
to gain that outside look at yourself and be honest with yourself.
Well, what's interesting is I weigh on the side of like what is going to make me feel better about doing this, right? And so while sometimes I feel like someone else has just told me what I need to correct that I already knew, it still makes me feel better to know there weren't any holes in my knowledge.
No, absolutely.
Right? Like I didn't
sometimes
I
this stuff
didn't
can
have a
be
blind
reassuring.
spot. Yes.
And you know, if that reassurance to you is worth the
worth it.
money, then by all means.
Yeah.
But like if it's money that you could have, like the idea that you need to spend money when you're trying to not spend money.
Yes.
There's a lot of like anxiety that I still need to be doing this, but I can't right now. And like that's the main fear.
And then also, if you're anything like me, listener, you have superfluous deadlines in your head, right?
Yes, you can always move your own deadlines.
You can move your own deadlines. I cannot stress that enough. If you are putting this first book out and you are not in a position where you can pay to have these things done, find your free options. Find your critique partners.
No, and the thing is, if you want to beta read for someone and you can get them to beta read for you, or if someone is going to beta read for you, offer to beta read for them. Exchanging labor like that for your writing builds community, builds friendships, builds networks.
Absolutely. 100%.
It's all vital.
There are so many benefits to it. And so it's okay if you decide not to spend money on the book at all. It is okay. Also, I saw this really great TikTok about this woman who, her first book, she couldn't afford to pay anyone to do anything. So she did it all herself. And she's like, yeah, a lot of those initial reviews, like, just really tore me apart for my proofreading issues and, like, stuff like that. She's like, but also the money I made on that book was it built the ability for me to actually hire an editor for my next book. And then now she's gone back and had that first book edited, and like she built something without spending any money until it could pay for itself. Like it's okay. And I know like a bad review for me personally, again, as somebody who doesn't like to do anything wrong, a bad review feels very rough to even think about. But like a bad review is not going to tank your book for the most part. Like, I mean, it's like so few and far between that a bad review is even going to really stick out in anyone's mind. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, I know. It always feels like the end of the world, or like
it does.
Emotionally crushing, but
yeah.
The moment you get a little distance from it, you can see that it's not at all bad.
And like, you know what's really funny is, Kate, I acknowledged that like review that had been sitting in my mind to you, and ever since I said it out loud to you, it's not there.
Power of venting.
I know.
Privately to your friends. Don't do that in public.
Okay, Kate. Are you
okay? Yes, we should.
Do you want to say bye to people? Yeah, listener. At some point, I got off the treadmill. So anyway,
I know it was at the 30-minute mark, and I was like, "Oh no, we've slowed down." I'm sorry, we've talked so much and listed pretty much everything you could spend money on.
Yeah.
But
you know what we didn't talk about?
Enough to think about.
We didn't talk about at all was like paid newsletters, paid promotions, PR.
Yeah, we could make a part 2. Do you want to do a part 2?
Yeah. I feel like we need to do a part 2 just talking about like, okay, so how do you actually push your book into the stratosphere? How do you actually get attention to it?
See, I was actually worried that we wouldn't have enough to say about this, but we just kept going.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, this is an interesting topic.
It is interesting.
Anyway.
But we will have to save more for it and hopefully remember that we have more for it next time.
And then also, like, listener, this is just our experience. And, like, there is such a
Yes.
wealth of experience out there. So I hope you got something that's helpful here. But also know that, like, you might find options that are really unique. And,
Yeah,
like,
there's-
that's awesome.
You can,
Yeah.
a lot of the time, you can find a free
There's
option.
so many resources. So many
Yes.
resources.
And I think when the answer is community building to save money, to budget,
Yeah.
that's always fantastic.
I mean, cannot tell you how much a community has, like, saved my life.
Literally.
Seriously. Like, I would not be publishing now without the community I have found. So,
Yeah, same.
yeah, right?
Love you.
Y'all are cute.
You're so good. You're so vital.
You're so vital. Oh, that's such a sweet word. Okay, Kate, do you want to tell them a piece of writing advice?
No, we already did that.
I got nothing right now.
I got nothing.
I got nothing.
You can find
Listener.
Marty at. Tell me where you find me. Find you.
Marty the author on
The author.
TikTok and Instagram, particularly Instagram. You can sign up for my newsletter at martyv.com. And I'm going to be doing a new reader magnet, which is the prequel for Hazel and Elijah Find Out.
I need to show you the covers I made for that.
I cannot wait to see it. I just realized it while we were sitting here. I'm like, I cannot look at it now. I will be too distracted.
Okay, all right.
So
2 minutes.
2 minutes. All right.
All
So, Kate,
So
where are you
can
at?
Find me at Instagram, TikTok. I've got at by Kate Pryor. I'm at now also on Threads, the Instagram
Okay.
Twitter clone. So we
also,
shall see how that goes.
listener, this is going to be me being a little bit desperate, and I hope you're not uncomfortable with it. But can you please leave a review? I know you're out there. Okay, I know you're out there.
Listener, we want to know what you want us to talk about. So
I would
leave a
love that.
review
Oh my
and
gosh.
Leave a request on what you want to know.
Please. Yes. Tell
Or
us.
if there's just like weird requests like show us your feet, we're not going to do it, but like this is an audio medium, it's not going to happen. I don't know where it's going with that.
Could Marty not scratch herself during the freaking episodes? Like, no, not this time. Look, if you were living inside my skin right now, you'd know the immense restraint it takes not to
you're
scratch.
probably like just entirely scratched up.
Oh my god, yes. Yeah. Anyway, listener,
Anyway, bye.
you're the cutest. We love you, and we'll talk to you later, okay? Okay, bye.
Bye.